illegal fishing, human trafficking and drug trade a concern in the Pacific. Many earthquake-affected areas yet to receive relief supplies. And NASFUND announces 242 million kina profit.
This is the National EMTV News with Meribah Tulo.
A very good evening. Thank you for joining us for Tuesday's news. A meeting on the challenges of regional maritime security has identified illegal fishing, international human trafficking and drug trade as emerging security concerns in the Pacific. 42 security personnel from a number of Pacific countries, including Chile in South America, are in Port Moresby for this meeting. The discussions are led by the PNG Defence Force and are aimed at minimizing transnational crimes within the region.
The 42 include security personnel from PNG, Tonga, New Zealand, United States and Fiji. Each delegate is a representative from all three elements of the Defence Force and the police. With the areas of security concerns already identified, the participants will be discussing collective efforts on how to address the issues.
We will focus on maritime security in the Pacific, and over the next 2 days you will be discussing a number of areas for cooperative efforts between our various agencies and the government, including civil, military, police cooperation, whole of government planning, major event security, humanitarian assistance, disaster relief, as well as emerging regional security threats.
PNG Defence Force Commander Gilbert Toropo identified illegal fishing as a national concern for Papua New Guinea.
Papua New Guinea will receive its first new patrol boat this year. Thank you, CDF Binskin, for Australia's commitment to PNG and to the region in helping secure these very valuable resources. Some 40% of the region's tuna live in our waters, and managing these stocks impose challenges of its own.
Every year, a large chunk of PNG tuna is illegally fished and sold overseas, and PNG needs the support from Australia and Indonesian navies to minimize this.
Many of the world's major trade routes pass through our waters, or at least close to our borders. It is therefore inevitable that we occupy an important position in the strategic thinking of our immediate neighbors, and also in the thinking of the larger trading nations.
These discussions are aimed at strengthening relations with defense forces from participating countries. Because of the increase in transnational crimes like drug smuggling and human trafficking, such discussions provide the avenue for a collective approach on maritime safety.
Illegal maritime activity, including transnational crime, people and drug trafficking, and illegal fishing is a growing problem which requires a collective response. None of us can respond to these threats alone or achieve our strategic interests alone. If we work alone, we risk duplicating efforts, but by collaborating as Pacific neighbours, we maximise our efforts to achieve our shared outcomes and our shared interests. That's why Australia is committed to engaging with our partners across the expanse of the South Pacific. We seek to play a leading role in supporting regional stability.
These discussions end on Thursday. Thekla Gunga, National EMTV News.
Relief supplies are yet to reach numerous affected communities in Hela, Southern Highlands, Enga and Western Province. Dr. Bill Hamblin, the Emergency Relief Controller, said this is due to a number of issues, including communication. He added that PNG has secured a loan of $3 million from ADB to assist in relief efforts.
Dr. Hamblin said they have presented a detailed report to NEC on the situation in the 4 affected provinces.
One of the things we've said in our report to NEC is we haven't got enough helicopters. Because while we can get things to staging points, from there out, if we haven't got roads, the only option is helicopters. And not only are we trying to reach new areas, these remote areas, Mount Basavi areas, Kandep and some of the others, we've been Nomad and Western and others, that we've been trying to reach, and it's not just a matter of reaching new ones, but we've got to sustain our supplies to the current locations.
There are 26 care centres in Hela and Southern Highlands. Supply of fresh water is the biggest challenge.
So we've then got to collect water, and it's a matter of poly tanks or tarpaulins to gather the water and put them into the tanks. So we're looking at, we've got quotes again for a lot of poly tanks out of Ley and out of Moresby to serve that need, and we've got to get tarps, etc. Plastic tarps will do as long as you can gather the water and get from the rainwater into the tanks.
They are now in the process of identifying areas that haven't received relief. On this map, it shows relief goods have been distributed to places marked yellow, blue and green. The grey dots that outnumber the coloured dots are the areas that relief distribution have either reached their destination or not.
The most affected areas have all been covered in one way or another by one of the partners in this exercise. There are some of these other ones that require to be reserviced as well, because we've got to restock them. And there are a few of these remote areas that we haven't been able to get to, which we're working on.
Dr. Hamblin also said the government has secured a $3 million loan from Asian Development Bank.
US grant from the ADB for relief purposes. That $3 million, we understand, will be available shortly, that it will be looked at in a positive light.
Meanwhile, Australia Foreign Affairs Minister Julie Bishop, who arrived in the country this afternoon, met with the Prime Minister to give Australia's condolences and announced a further support of 12.5 million kina for long-term relief operations.
Thank you very much for the support and the efforts that the Australian government and yourself in particular and the Prime Minister Turnbull has put into the recent earthquake disaster.
And we extend our deepest condolences to those who have lost loved ones and also to those who have been injured.
Australia's generosity was also welcomed by Foreign Affairs Minister Rimbik Pato.
We will work very closely with the Australian government in the period ahead, because this is a situation which we cannot do it alone. We need to take a unified approach. We need to adopt systems that have worked, and Australia has fantastic systems.
Julie Bishop will travel to Kavieng tomorrow to see AusAid-funded projects. Adelaide Sirok's Kari National, EMTV News.
Disaster relief supplies continue to flood in from organizations for the victims of the Highlands earthquake. Today, USAID and the International Organization for Migration presented relief supplies that will help over 5,000 families in terms of shelter, water and sanitation.
It has been 3 weeks since the devastating earthquake struck the highlands of PNG. Through USAID and IOM's donation today, over 5,000 families will be receiving water and sanitation kits, including supply kits consisting of tarpaulins, nails, rope, cooking utensils, soap and 15-litre water containers.
This shelter items will be very critical to protect them for the elements. As you're well aware, it's been raining quite consistently up in the highlands these days. This will allow them to have a place that protects them from the elements. And while we continue as part of the UN family to contribute other relief items and aid, this will be a critical need.
U.S. Ambassador to PNG, Catherine Ebert Gray, said America has had a long history with the people up in the highlands and they are happy to help.
Well, you know us Americans, we wake up every day thinking about our colleagues up there that are affected, and Americans have a long history of working in the highlands, mostly as missionaries, but also anthropologists, people in health work, people in all sorts of different types of ways, long term. So we're happy to be able to help today, and we continue to monitor it in the long term and hope to help in the long term as well. And doing the disaster preparedness that we need to continue to help around the community. So we're just delighted to be able to help out today, and we'll be monitoring and supporting you every step of the way.
IOM Chief of Mission Lance Boniao returned from the affected areas today. He said these relief kits are a very critical need that will help the people.
I actually just came back from Mindy and Nipa visiting with other IOM teams who are still on the ground there, and you know, the people are they're traumatized. So this initial stage of getting the emergency relief will help reduce their exposure to the elements, and also hopefully reduce the prospect of illnesses and whatnot, and help them settle their minds again that they have a place to stay.
Director of National Disaster Center Martin Mose gave his reassurance that, despite their limitations, would do their best to reach all victims of the earthquake.
There's still some gray area, of course. We're still trying to overlay the maps yet to come, because we don't want to leave any villages not accounted for.
Florence John Duo, National EMTV News.
Newly appointed chairman of the Kutubu Special Purpose Authority, Moses Mewayo, and his directors have announced the authority stands ready to work with its partners in delivering much-needed services to the people of Kutubu. Mewayo has also called on members of the authority and other leaders of Kutubu to work together to assist in the recent earthquake relief efforts.
Following their declaration from the Minister of Intergovernment Relations, Chairman Moses Mewayo and his team are ready to carry out the authority's duties.
Minister of Intergovernment Relations Kevin Isufu, and those Mibla, all 6 boards.
Brushing aside confusion of the chairman's seat, Mewayo says the former chairman Norman Babi is still a director of the board and says they must now work together as their first priority is to assist the thousands affected by the recent earthquake.
Kind of organization like Kutubu Special Purpose Authority has to move to, supply one needs people only need him and stuff.
Similar views were shared by the other directors, as there are currently over 3,000 men, women and children displaced after the 7.5 magnitude earthquake.
We have a master work one time, Chairman Moses Mewayo, Lokarim Tivormen service must come up with place.
Now when big program come up with place, so that you must deliver him service, now you must restore him all people who should take him.
The Kutubu Special Authority was set up to manage the delivery of services to mine impact communities of the Kutubu area. And with the swearing in of the new board, they want to put politics, including court disputes, aside to assist the people in need. They have also called on their stakeholder partners to work with the authority.
Let's forget about court. Let's forget about politics. Now our focus is to save the people. They are in a bad condition. They are in a dire need.
Stanley Over Jr., National EMTV News.
The National Planning Consultative Summit has brought together departmental heads, politicians and donors in what the government hopes will be an important step to growing the economy. Up to 400 participants were given sobering statistics. It showed that our population growth is far greater than the economic growth rate and that only 10% of the economy is actually owned by Papua New Guineans.
Over the next 2 days, the National Planning Consultative Summit will draw input from more than 400 people, including international experts.
We must be bold, we must be decisive, we must have unshakable passion.
This morning, when the Planning Minister Richard Maru called the meeting to order, he focused on getting the participants to realize that the current state of the economy wasn't ideal for a comfortable standard of living going into the future.
We need an economy prime minister that is 10 times the size of our economy. We need to generate revenue of up to 100 billion a year. So
Maru's main message, import reduction and a stronger, diversified economic base that can support key government policies. As the previous managing director of the National Development Bank, Richard Maru planned and executed a recovery strategy for the government entity on a national scale, its recovery and growth on a grander scale. The planning department estimates that the country needs an economy worth 100 billion kina. Both the Prime Minister and Richard Maru were critical of the resource sector, both stating that the government was getting relatively little from the mines all over the country, apart from the government-owned Oktedi Mining Limited.
These companies are making billions and billions of kina. Papua New Guinea is getting very, very little for its resources. That is why our government has deliberately gone back and now reviewing each agreement.
For Morobe, the stage is set to continue to use Lae as a growth centre for both the province and the country. Scott Waide, National EMTV News, Lae.
The Prime Minister has expressed disappointment at the government's emergency response in the recent earthquake in the Highlands, saying a lot needs to be improved. A parliamentary sitting will be called later this month to pass a Restoration Authority bill similar to that of East New Britain. He also added that the government is getting assistance from Australia in developing an emergency management model and structure similar to that of Queensland.
We've had our National Disaster Office on the ground for a few weeks. Quite frankly disappointed with some of the reports that they have been able to produce. That is why I've tasked the Minister of Forest to initiate discussions with the Queensland government to model our emergency response capabilities to similar standards like Queensland. They've got excellent reputation attending to floods, earthquakes, bushfire, cyclones. The state emergency services there is one of the best in Australia. So we are trying to model ours to that and really respond to the people's relief efforts as and when they need it and on a timely basis.
Bank South Pacific is a silver sponsor for the National Planning Consultative Summit, which convened today in Lae Marabe Province. The announcement was made yesterday when BSP Retail General Manager Paul Thornton presented a cheque of 50,000 kina to National Planning Minister Richard Maru. In receiving the cheque, Minister Maru said this would be the third time in 15 years that a national development plan for the country will be written, and within that time, the private sector, civil society and international experts were not included. This time, they're all included in discussions aimed at creating a plan to improve the future of Papua New Guinea's economy. Service delivery to many rural areas in the country is still lacking due to the country's slow economic growth. Secretary for National Planning Hakawa Harry said in order to efficiently provide services, the country has to have enough revenue. This is currently lacking. This has resulted in the country's difficulty in providing basic services for its growing population.
Service delivery for Papua New Guinea has been a difficult process in the past 43 years. Today's Secretary for National Planning Hakawa Harry highlighted at the National Planning Consultative Summit in Lae that despite the level of tangible developments in the country, PNG's economic and social growth has been slow since independence.
We don't have enough revenue to support the services that we intend to provide to our people.
The lack of service delivery due to the slow economic growth has affected PNG in terms of the Human Development Index.
We have HDI indices that we measure our country against other countries globally.
Papua New Guinea's level of poverty is measured in terms of service delivery. In PNG, about 80% of the country is made up of the rural population. The people in these areas still face difficulties in accessing basic services. Ms. Harry said the generation of revenue has to be increased to support the service delivery in the country and to provide for the growing population.
So we need to know where we are right now, and from that we learn. From that experience, we build on strategies and policies and objectives on how we can improve from the current situation, how we can move forward. So,
Lucy Kopana, National EMTV News, Lae.
Here with National EMTV News, we'll have more of the day's top stories after these messages. Don't go away. Welcome back to the news. From next week, Monday, NASFUND will see an 8% interest credited to their contributors. This was announced today by NASFUND Chairman Holal Tokome, and this is on the back of a 242 million kina profit for the year 2017. When announcing the results, NASFUND Chairman Holal Tokome said despite the difficult economic climate in the country, their efforts in controlling expenses as well as positive returns on investments allowed for another positive year. Today, the board of NASFUND met to consider and accept the financial results for 2017. In announcing the results, Chairman Hulala Tokome acknowledged the current difficult economic situations that PNG is facing.
While annual returns from the investment portfolio are subject to market forces and vary from year to year, real returns after inflation to member accounts increase significantly over a longer term period through the effect of compound interest and the dedication to investing in assets that provide secure long-term returns.
Through prudent management, which included keeping controls on expenses as well as positive returns on its cash investments, NASFUND was able to announce positive results for 2017.
Right, so 8% will be paid into member accounts by this weekend.
According to NASFUND, improving its services to members has been a focus for the fund in 2017, which has proven to be successful, especially in regards to improving contributor numbers as well as better interaction with members across the country through the use of technology.
A lot of work went into monitoring and evaluating those individual investments. They were in retailing, they were in aviation, in finance and banking, and the intent was to see if we could assist those individual investments, review their business operations, review the way they're conducting business, given the current economic backdrop, so that we could optimize the returns.
And on a weekly basis, we have 4,000 members consistently going online and accessing their accounts, their statements, their transaction histories. So no longer do members have to visit our branches in that sense.
So contribution received went up, whereas benefit payment went down. And in this time of the economy, when there is everyone saying that economy is not doing well, our contributions have gone up. It says a different story, that we align to the right employers who are doing well. And at the same time, when benefit payments are going down, it means that the unemployment part which we were paying high, that has reduced. It is a good sign for us.
Whilst acknowledging the difficult financial times that the country was facing, Mr. Tokome reminded members that NASFUND would do its best to ensure that their contributions were safe, with the aim to ensure continued positive results.
For this year, we will continue to focus on enhancing our member services while actively seeking opportunities to grow membership and our investment portfolio.
Reconstruction of the fallen transmission lines at Kasampas in Eastern Highlands is progressing. The fallen transmission affected parts of Leh, Madang and Mount Hagen. PPL engineers say the grid is of importance and power should be restored in the next 2 weeks.
The transmission towers were destroyed recently following a major landslip. The towers supply power to Leh, Madang and parts of the Highlands. Electricity to all these areas were affected in the past weeks.
We are trying our best to construct a new tower quickly because it's affecting our supply in Leh City.
The tower is located near the source of Sing Sing Creek, approximately 2 kilometers from the main Okuk Highway, and is impossible to access. However, locals are working closely with PPL engineers to erect the towers. The new tower would be 30 meters in height and stronger to withstand weight of the transmission lines and earthquakes.
We mobilized to site, and our contractor, Voltron Engineering and PNG Power Personnel, are at site with the locals. We are trying to erect this new tower, now doing the foundation works. The new tower will be about 31 meters. It's much higher than the existing towers.
Work is progressing. According to engineers, power supply should be restored in the next few weeks.
It's a very difficult terrain here and difficult locations, no road. Everything has to be brought in by chopper. And we managed to bring almost 90 tons of materials, water, cement bags, gravels, all the tower parts, our camping gears, the equipments, everything was flown in by chopper.
A survey of new towers is also in progress along the Ramule Road. Jack Lapava Jr., National EMTV News.
The NCD Dog Unit remains suspended from conducting police operations in the National Capital District. The suspension is a unanimous decision made by NCD Metropolitan Superintendent Pero Drano following numerous allegations against members of the Directorate. However, the unit is not suspended from conducting apex security operations in Port Moresby or the normal training of police dogs at Bomana.
The suspension of NCD Dog Unit is now into the second week. But while there is a constant discussion between the NCD Metropolitan Command and the Directorate, members of the unit remain grounded from police duties within NCD.
Lack of attention to our unit from dog. So it became a habit
So since taking up office in late November, not a week goes by without allegation against Dr. Unit. Who's in the right mind to continue to allow such thing to happen to the public?
The suspension is based on numerous allegations of misconduct and ill behaviors of NCD dog unit members whilst on police duties. These include the firing of tear gas at Hohola 2 weeks ago, which 3 students were reported affected.
I'm given a mandate here to ensure police perform to the best practices. That is, we're supposed to protect life and property. That's our duty.
Dog Unit is a specialized directorate in the Royal Papua New Guinea Constabulary. It conducts bomb and drug searches, crowd control, and takes part in major police operations. But the suspension has been described as a bold move to restore command and control. While the suspension of close to 60 police personnel may mean a shortage in manpower, the NCD Metsub says it is up to the dog unit director to discipline officers involved in those allegations.
The onus now is on back to Director Dog and his officers to deal with the man. I've given him the option now to look at that case. They are banned from operating in NCD. That does not mean that they can do any other work associated with.
This is the second time the unit has been suspended from police duties. In 2016, the unit was grounded for almost 6 weeks following a fight involving police recruits.
I want to see return of command and control back in the unit, firstly. Secondly, they must assure this command that there will be no more repetition of such activities, illegal activities that are being involved, others to be involved. And it's up to the public, the call is the public's call.
Meanwhile, this suspension remains for an indefinite period. Tekla Gunga, National MTV News.
The Royal PNG Constabulary officially named 2 new police patrol vessels at a ceremony yesterday. The vessels were named after current serving Assistant Commissioners David Manning and Tony Duang. The vessels will provide the RPNGC with a level of response not previously possible with the existing fleet.
Royal PNG Constabulary Commissioner Gary Bucky, in a ceremony yesterday, named 2 new police patrol vessels after current serving RPNGC's Assistant Commissioners David Manning and Tony Duang.
Organization, something we've had some of them in the past, but we have not been able to maintain them due to various reasons, but these ones are coming at the time when we needed them for APEC. And like I've said this morning when we opened the airport police station, what happens after APEC? This is a question that you and I will have to ask, and it means that the sustainability and maintaining these assets is very important after APEC. We have to look at policing in a wider perception rather than limiting it to NCD.
The vessels are fitted with the latest Garmin navigational systems, safety and towing equipment, including fire pumps and first aid supplies. Australian Federal Police Commissioner Andrew Colvin said that this partnership will not stop in November after APEC, but will continue for many more years. RPNGC Assistant Commissioners Manning and Duang were present at the ceremony with their families.
To have a vessel named after you was definitely a surprise for my part and on my part.
The PPV Manning will be berthed alongside the clubhouse. However, PPV Duang is currently being shipped from Brisbane and expected to arrive in PNG before the end of this month. Lilian Sopera-Kinea, National MTV News.
Here with Tuesday's news, we go for a break now and be back with more on the other side. Stay tuned. Welcome back to the news. 2 government residences were opened recently in New Ireland province. The houses will be used to accommodate high-profile visitors. Mining Minister Johnson Tuke opened one in Namatanai, while Prime Minister Peter O'Neill opened the other in Kavieng.
The opening of the Namatanai government residence was celebrated with a colorful display of the local culture. Prime Minister Peter O'Neill and a government delegation were part of the program to witness the occasion.
And we allow our provinces the freedom to be different, the freedom to find their own solutions to the problem of education, of health, care, of infrastructure. And in finding those solutions, we can share with each other and help each other to find even better solutions.
It's a resting place for those who visit New Island, a similar context to the local custom of a houseboy system. Built with nearly 2 million kina, the building hosts rooms, master bedroom, conference center and office suites. A similar building was also opened in Kavieng by Prime Minister Peter O'Neill.
This is a symbol of the presence of government in our district. It is a symbol of presence of the government of New Island in our district.
The building symbolizes New Island's friendly culture where visitors are treated with pride and respect. Jack Lapave Jr., National EMTV News.
The fight against HIV/AIDS is continuing unnoticed in most parts of East New Britain province. While the national government focuses at the national level to fight the epidemic, small groups are also encouraged to do the same within their own provinces. Non-government organizations such as PPAP, Red Cross and Mustard Seed Global have partnered to educate communities in the province about the dangers of HIV.
These are the men and women that make up East New Britain's frontline in the fight against HIV/AIDS. They volunteered for training by health professionals to become trainers of trainers to conduct HIV awareness in their local communities. The training is funded by the World Bank through the PPAP project, aimed at improving living standards in village communities in East New Britain province. The PPAP, in a recent move, has partnered with the Mustard Seed Global and Red Cross and carried out this week-long training on HIV. The lead trainer, Beverly Aquila of Mustard Seed Global, has run the recent training with the aim of equipping the participants with a message that's centered around HIV and how it can be prevented.
So, mipla bin looking this law as good pla opportunity lo mipla can work boom one time lo long rolling out this program. So
incidence rates suggest that HIV is growing in the country, with millions spent every year to provide medical aid to assist those affected. Over the years, both government and non-government health organizations have repeatedly reminded us about the dangers of HIV, and the statistics that come with it can easily be recited from memory. While HIV awareness may not be appealing to the people, its long-term impacts are expected to be severe.
Suppose me look long economy belong province. Suppose me got sick population. It's a community. I'm hard lo me play bringing economy belong province go antapa. So I'm one plan big play area where this la project look long and it time long. Approaching.
Organizations like the PPAP, Mustard Seed Global and Red Cross don't want to see it as a futile attempt to contain the epidemic. They want to make sure that the people are reminded time and again not to take HIV and AIDS for granted. Edwin Fidelis, National EMTV News, Kokopo.
Turning overseas now, the hunt has intensified for a bomber who's killed 2 people in a series of explosions across Austin, Texas. 2 men were hurt in the latest blast when they triggered a device connected to a tripwire.
Tonight, police in Austin in a frantic search for answers after the city's 4th mysterious explosion. You can hear it on this surveillance video. A bomber now getting bolder.
We are clearly dealing with what we expect to be a serial bomber at this point.
But this time was different. This bomb was left on the side of the road, possibly triggered by a tripwire.
With this tripwire, this changes things. It's more sophisticated. It's not targeted to individuals.
2 men in their 20s seriously injured.
Engine 17, a reported explosion.
The entire neighborhood placed on lockdown.
We heard a loud explosion inside our house, and we live about a half mile away.
The latest blast happening at 8:32 p.m., barely 6 hours after the police chief made this urgent personal plea directly to the bomber.
We want to understand what brought you to this point, and we want to listen to you.
There have now been 4 explosions in Austin this month. The previous bombs, devices made to look like mail deliveries, quietly left on doorsteps. 17-year-old Draylon Mason and 39-year-old Anthony House were killed.
The bomber's progressing. He's feeling extremely powerful now. He's got the city on edge, and he's reveling in the fear that he's producing.
Fear that has taken hold of this neighborhood.
That's why this is so unusual.
This man, who didn't want us to use his name, heard this latest explosion right near his home.
How worried are you that there could be another explosion?
Very worried. Yeah, I think the entire neighborhood is on edge. All of Austin, I think, is on edge.
Uber self-driving car trials have been suspended across America after a pedestrian was killed in Arizona. The fatal crash happened while the car was in autonomous mode, even though the vehicle's safety operator was behind the wheel.
The victim, a 49-year-old, was walking with a bicycle but wasn't using a crosswalk when she was hit by the self-driving Uber undergoing testing in Tempe, Arizona. She was taken to hospital but died from her injuries. Uber today issuing a statement saying, "Our hearts go out to the victim's family. We are fully cooperating with local authorities in their investigation of the incident." Authorities are now considering whether to lay charges. The man behind the wheel wasn't in control of the car in what is now the first pedestrian death by an autonomous car.
Our investigation did not show at this time that there were significant signs of the vehicle slowing down.
We are definitely moving much too quickly in terms of getting these things on the road in a location where you have pedestrians, where you have bicyclists, where you have people pushing their children in strollers.
Uber says it suspended its trials of self-drive cars in San Francisco, Phoenix, Toronto and Pittsburgh as this investigation gets underway.
Yeah, with National EMTV News, we go for a break now. When we come back, some sporting updates in Trukai Sports. Don't go away.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome to Trukai Sports. We begin with some updates in cricket, and the Barramundis finished 9th in the ICC Cricket World Cup qualifiers ahead of Hong Kong with a 57-run victory. This win makes it the 4,000th victory in the national team's history and the only one at the World Cup qualifiers. The win comes 2 days after their one-day international status was relinquished by a 6-wicket loss to Nepal. This was a win that could have made a lot of difference if it had come 2 days earlier when they were fighting to save their ODI status. From now on, the Barras will have to work their way up again to regain their one-day international status. To Aussie Rules and Easy Loan Lightning 12's competition, so its grand final ended successfully over the weekend with West Eagles winning the finals over Gordon's Kokofas 54 points. Senior Operation Manager Rex Lecker told MTV Sports that season proper for all centres will begin next month.
Port Moresby AFL proper season will commence next month now that the Easy Loan Lightning 12's competition has ended.
Yeah, the Easy Loan Port Moresby AFL Lightning 12's pre-season commenced 3 weeks ago and ended last week Saturday with the top 4 teams playing off for the prize money. The third and fourth place was between Lamana Dockers and Bomana Cats, which Lamana Dockers came on top of that one.
He says an AGM will be held this Saturday before the proper season starts on the 7th of April.
At the Colts Oval, so there's an invitation to all the senior clubs that took part in the Lightning 12s to come around on Saturday at 1 p.m. To the Colts Oval for the AGM. And from then on, the new executives of the Port Moresby AFL competition will be elected, and then they will take the role from there and then start the competition on the 7th of April.
Competition in other centres will start in May, including Rabaul and Kavieng.
Captain Kimbe in West New Britain. There's a council in place already. Judge Elenis Battery is leading the show there with his executives, and there's going to be a competition in Kimbertown. There's going to be one in Hoskins. They're moving out to Biela and hopefully to the Pomio area as well. In Rabaul as well, East New Britain, we've got 2 of our development officers there, Ben Val and Alfred, who are running the junior program as well, helping out with the seniors, and they should maybe kick off the season maybe in May this year, straight after the other centres start.
He says AFL PNG board is also planning to revive seniors competition since the last one was held in 2007.
The Seniors National Championships again, the last time we had one was back in 2007 in Ley, and up until now we haven't had a Seniors Championship. So the venue and the time is yet to be confirmed. Hopefully in the next few weeks, as soon as that is confirmed, all the other outside centres which I mentioned will be all sending teams over there. Could be in Mosby or it could be in Ley.
Godwin Eki, National MTV Sports.
Still on Aussie Rules, High Performance Sports carried out a coaching clinic for AFL PNG on the weekend. The coaching clinic also included representatives from AFL Australia.
AFL Senior Operations Manager Rex Lecker says the clinic is an annual event that's held to upskill umpires and train new coaching staff.
AFL coaching and umpiring course clinics that was run up here. It's an annual thing that happens straight after the AFL development staff conference. And we have officers from the AFL Queensland office coming up here to run those courses. They were both successful. We had also the high performance staff from the Taramaki Aquatic Centre coming over and sharing a bit of the knowledge and ideas on how to help the coaching and the umpires as well.
High Performance Sport was also at hand to assist AFL Australia with the clinic.
As you said, over the weekend there was the AFL Level 1 youth and senior coaching courses as well as club umpire courses. The main involvement for High Performance was Richard and Aaron were delivering presentations on leadership and teamwork values, whereas myself and Debbie were taking the coaches through warm-up and warm-down procedures that they can use with their players, so about managing the athletes' bodies as well.
He says areas touched on during the clinic were leadership skills and teamwork.
It's definitely different. The stuff that I was more focused with was the junior or the youth coaching course. There were AFL specific drills, however they did note that there was a lot of generalised coaching tips as well. So just because it's an AFL course doesn't necessarily mean they're just going to plug AFL, because they know with the equipment available, especially in youth sport, you might only have rugby balls or soccer balls or tennis balls even around. So it was a really good overall view of junior sport as well.
AFL-specific training was taught to the recipients on the day.
It's just that I guess courses like that are really, really useful, especially since they're aimed at the grassroots level. And if that opportunity comes up, if like say AFL or NRL to run coaching clinics such as that, it's definitely very important for coaches developing and people who think they know everything to get along and just see if there's anything new that's coming up. Yeah, definitely good for the development of grassroots sports.
Godwin Eki, National MTV Sports.
Don't go away, we'll have more of Trukai Sports after these messages. Stay tuned.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome back to Trukai Sports. The Australian swimming squad has welcomed one last unlikely addition ahead of the Gold Coast Commonwealth Games. The new teammate may be unexpected, but he offers plenty of experience.
A late addition to the team today, 99-year-old George Coronis was given a very special surprise. He's been made an honorary member of the team.
Good on you, mate. Lovely to see you. Welcome to the team.
You may remember from this incredible moment, well, there were two moments in fact, when he broke the Guinness World Record for the fastest 100 metres and 50 metres freestyle in his age category. He'll be able to take part in all of the excitement around the Games, and already the team is making him feel very welcome.
One of the most unreal things that
could have imagined that it ever happened to me.
We could say he's very experienced, couldn't we? There's no doubt about that.
Having someone on the team with that much experience is just invaluable.
So what is his secret to a long and happy life?
Masters swimming. It's a tailor-made lifestyle for every age and every capability. You don't have to be good or bad at it, old or young, and it's never too late to start it.
Well, George will be visiting the athletes in the village and cheering them on from the stands, giving them that extra morale boost to get them over the line during the games.
And that's it for Trukai Sports. We go for a break now. When we come back, the weather details for Wednesday.
Trukai Sports. Trukai Sports.
The weather details were proudly brought to you by Dulux, celebrating 50 years in PNG and the only paint made in PNG.
A look at the weather forecast for the next 24 hours in the southern region. Showers expected in Port Moresby, Daru and Kerma. Rain and thunderstorms for Alota and Popondetta. To the Momasa region, rain and showers expected in Lae and Wau. Rain and thunderstorms, the order of the day for Medang and Wewak. Rain and thunderstorms for Vanimo as well. To the New Guinea Islands region, showers expected in Lorengau, Kimbe and Buka. Cloudy weather expected in Kavieng, Kokopo and Rabaul. And in the Highlands region, Mount Hagen, Goroka, Kundiawa, Mendi and Wabeg, all these major centers can expect some rain and showers over the next 24 hours.
The weather details were proudly brought to you by Dulux, celebrating 50 years in PNG and the only paint made in PNG.
And that's the news, sport and weather for today, Tuesday, March the 20th, 2018. On behalf of the EMTV News team, pleasant viewing. Good night.